Chapter 3. Why is it never easy? As Will disappears ahead of them, Zephyr turns to Maxim. Ready to do this? I'd follow you anywhere. Flirt. Ghost base. Any idea what's down this corridor? Maxim asks, as the two of them head in the opposite direction to Will. Unfortunately, no, Gabe replies. Our passive scans registered a few chambers and a cross corridor that leads to a stairwell. I suggest you head towards that and begin clearing the levels. Roger that, Zephyr says, as the two Pelorians increase their pace to a light jog, doing their best to mix speed and stealth. Benny chimes in over the comms. I can open all the hatches in the stairwell. They won't know where you are, and as long as there are no environmental emergencies, the computer won't force them closed. The stairwell hatch is indeed open when they arrive, having secured the two chambers they came across on their way there. As they reach the next level, they see a small group of pirates standing not too far from the door to the stairwell. Glad he opened the doors, Maxim whispers, as they slip out into the corridor. The pirates are a mixed bag of races, some they recognize, some they don't. There are two rucknacks, though. This could be a problem, Max mutters, watching the group. Rucknacks are from a high-gravity world, and as a result, their typically 5-foot-tall frame is entirely muscle. Their skin is thick, almost like rock, and it does a good job of absorbing energy weapon fire. The Tarsi attempted to add the Rucknack to their peacekeeper legions until they realized that as a race the Rucknack aren't much smarter than a garden pail. If it weren't for their neighbors, the Sylvan, they wouldn't have even traveled to space. The group is talking amongst themselves, apparently trying to coordinate with someone somewhere for the defense of the station. Should we just kill them? Maxim asks. I don't know if we can take those Rucknack out fast enough, Zephyr answers. Let's see what they do. The pirates start walking down the corridor. Either they came from the level above or the one below. Most likely above, as otherwise Zephyr and Maxim would probably have heard them before now. 20 meters down the corridor, the group turns a corner and runs into another group of pirates who are escorting some kind of technician with scanning equipment. Uh-oh, Maxim says right as the technician looks up from her hand terminal at the other group of pirates and directly at Maxim and Zephyr, 2 meters behind them. Watch out, is all the startled tech has time to say before Maxim and Zephyr open fire on the confused group. The pirates of the new group were furthest from the two ex-peacekeepers and have time to drop to the ground and open fire. Blaster bolts strike them both, glancing off their armor, causing the prismatic shielding to waver and fade in places. The nearest group of pirates are mostly lying on the ground, plasma blasts smoking, except for the two Rucknack, who have slowly turned to face the now visible invaders. Drin, Zephyr hisses as the two walking piles of rock start to advance. Rucknack only have 2 large fingers and a thumb, so most weapons don't suit them. But clubs are made to be held by any hand, and each Rucknack has one. Fall back, Maxim orders, his HUD showing red warning icons on several parts of his armor. With his hand on Zephyr's shoulder, the two backtrack down the corridor toward the stairwell. Ghost base. We're taking heavy fire and our armor is compromised, Maxim shouts, as they try to keep up a steady rate of fire to keep the advancing pirates back. Unfortunately, the two Rucknack are providing an excellent walking barrier to fire from. Get to the stairwell and go up, Benny orders. The moment they enter the stairwell, the hatch slams shut. You have 30 microtox to get to the next door, Benny tells them. Their armor may no longer be able to provide stealth, but its power enhancement capabilities allows them both to dash up the stairs 3 or 4 at a time, clearing the threshold of the next level's hatch with microtox to spare. What's on this level? Zephyr asks as the hatch closes behind them. A light on the panel next to the hatch lights up, indicating the hatch is sealed. Well, for one thing, less bad guys, Benny says. Before she can snap at him, he continues. From our limited sensor data, it also looks like this level is mostly crew bunks. I don't have full control of their systems. They've got a good hacker somewhere who's keeping me from taking over entirely, but I can keep that stairwell locked for at least 4 more Syntox. Acknowledged, Zephyr replies, as she and Maxim head down the corridor, poking their heads into each room they come across to ensure no one has slept through the alarm and is still in their bunk. A few minutes later, they reach the lift. Maxim reports in. Ghost base. This level is clear. The next level, however, is not. Okay, this is getting old. The lift doors open on the level Zephyr calculates is 2 below the command center, a level with a few dozen pirates assembled on it currently. They are looking at what appears to be large training rooms, which the pirates were using as a staging post before they assaulted the command center. Oh, Dren, Zephyr exclaims, palming the lift control as the mass of pirates turns to face the lift. Maxim pushes her out of the way as several plasma blasts rip the back of the lift car to pieces, along with several pieces of Maxim's armor. The car shakes and the light panels inside explode as plasma rips them to shreds. Benny, we're taking fire. We need help. Maxim shouts into the comms in his helmet. Pieces of his armor are sparking as plasma blasts make contact. The lift doors start to close, but are quickly damaged under the barrage of weapons fire until they stop moving, a foot apart from each other. Oh, Grolak, Benny says over the comms. Their hacker is good. He's keeping me out of most of the station's systems. Zephyr is leaning against the right door, Maxim against the left. Each is taking turns to lean out and fire their plasma rifles into the room. Benny is back. I'm trying to walk Will through hacking his way into the command center. How his people ever got into orbit, I'll never know, the Brelak scoffs. Benny, you little krebnak, we're taking fire. This lift is compromised and we're going to die, Maxim shouts. I'm working as fast as I can. Will isn't that bright. I can hear you, you little asshole, Will shouts back over the open comms channel. A plasma blast strikes Zephyr just as she leans out to fire. She falls back with a cry, her shoulder smoking, the armor melted and deformed. We're working on it. Hold on. A few seconds pass, then Benny is back. Are both of your armors intact? Maxim glances at his HUD. Lots of green, a lot more yellow, but no red. He glances at Zephyr and nods. Shield's intact. Why? Suddenly, there's a loud roaring as the lift car lurches and drops a few inches. It shakes with the force of the air rushing past it. The lights in the room beyond the lift turn orange. If there were lights left in the lift car, Zephyr assumes they'd be orange too, signaling a breach. The doors would be also snapping shut, if they still could. Over the roar, they hear Benny's voice. Will was able... Will cuts in. I can speak for myself, you green turd. I couldn't get much control, but wherever their pet hacker is, he's likely either sealed in a room or dead. He sounds like he's out of breath. I was able to get access to enough systems to blow a few hatches and keep the emergency bulkheads from closing. Outside the lift car, Maxim can see the pirates collapsing. He lifts his rifle and shoots one smart enough to wear a vac suit dead center in the chest. Not an armored vac suit, though, he sees with satisfaction. As the roar of escaping air starts to die down, Maxim helps Zephyr stand up. Her armor is severely damaged in several places, and it's a minor miracle it hasn't been compromised. He looks around the room. Nearly 24 bodies are bathed in the orange light of the decompression alarms. Are you guys okay? Benny asks over the comms. We're fine, Zephyr answers, but we're going to need a different way to the command center. Or back to the ship, whichever, Maxim amends. I'm going to lock down the station. There are a few last pirates scattered around the base. Looks like the smart ones had their vac suits on. Will says over the common channel. They'll be dead by the time the Harrith authorities arrive, and we can cash our credits in, Benny replies. There is a disturbing amount of glee in his voice. You're a dark little fella, you know that? Will answers back. Whatever, the Brelak answers. Then, Gabe says he's called in the Harrith. Nearest cruiser is 5 talks out. Will, meet us down here and we can walk back to the ship, Zephyr says, as she and Maxim pick their way through the corpses of the pirates. I'll be down in a second. Benny has me installing something or other. It's a remote. Never mind, the hacker grumbles. By the time the team has explored and secured every level and room of the asteroid base, the Harrith Navy battlecruiser Sword of Justice arrives and takes custody of the base. The team files their claim against the contents of the base before heading off into space, while the Harrith Navy begins to go over the place with a fine-tooth comb. As the Ghost speeds away, its cargo hold packed with what the team could carry off before the Harrith arrived, Zephyr says to Will, You know, I might have an opportunity for us. Log entry. We found something. Log entry. Farsight Corporation, Caprala Research Station, Chief Scientist. A breath, followed by another deeper. We've discovered something big. One of our long-range probes was exploring the Sargul Nebula and came across it. I hesitate to say what it is. Honestly, I don't know what it is. Dren, the implications are astounding. If it is what I think it is, this will have repercussions throughout the GC. The sound of pacing back and forth. It's a ship, I think. It's bigger than any I've ever seen. Bigger than any that exists in the GC, as far as I know. The others have started calling it the Beast. That seems fitting, but implies it has a military intent. Does it? We don't know. It certainly has a lot of weapons. The probe went offline after scanning the ship. The object, it's a ship. What does this mean? For the GC? For civilization in this part of the galaxy? Who do we tell?